Welcome to the Life Skills tutorial PTZ-Director. What is PTZ-Director? PTZ-Director is a software for Mac, which I can use to control NDI PTZ cameras from different manufacturers. Unlike such other apps, the cameras don't have to be from the same manufacturer, but you can, for example, connect a Canon, a Panasonic, a Marshall and a Birder camera at the same time. With this software, cameras from different manufacturers are controlled via the NDI channel. There is a multiview on the top left where currently two cameras are connected. This does not necessarily have to be an NDI PTZ camera. This can also be a signal from a vMix or TriCaster. If you don't use for PTZ cameras, you can also show the output signals from live production systems to monitor them through the PTZ operator. But first, we go to our website, the Life Skills website for PTZ-Director. There you can find a lot of interesting information about the PTZ-Director, for example, the manuals. It contains a link to the App Store, where you can download the app, and also to the free PTZ-Director 1, which we will explain in the next part. Then we go to the Mac App Store. When we enter PTZ-Director, we see that there are two software versions. First there is PTZ-Director full version for about €80, respectively $80. The exact price is depending on the region and the taxes here. You can see a lot of pictures and a lot of information about the features of the software. There is also a version history and a link to our support. If you first want to test the software, there's a second free app called PTZ-Director 1. If you already have an NDI camera, you can use it to check whether the software is working with it. Then you should first download the PTZ-Director 1. Most of the features are equal to PTZ-Director full version, just for a single camera. Only the Stream Deck plugin does not work with it. There's no time limit on the free app. Use it as long as you want. If you want to use a second camera or use a Stream Deck, then switch to full version. Okay, let's leave the store and look at the features and how the setup looks like. You can see our NDI IP camera here, a Canon CRN 300. It is connected to power, to internet and via HDMI to our ATEM Extreme switcher, so you can see the signal in this video. There is also a switch in the background. All devices are connected via Ethernet. We don't use Wi-Fi here. Here is our MacBook Pro with a Stream Deck connected at a USB port, which is in our setup a powered Thunderbolt hub. And we have connected two joysticks that we want to show you. This one is the APEM RS Desktop and the other Hikvision DS1005. Two relatively high-quality joysticks in price range of $300 to $400 or euros. The joysticks are high quality, very precise and have a good haptic, comparable to the sticks you can find in professional remote panels. Often these panels are expensive and control cameras over older protocols than NDI. Then we have our ATEM Mini Extreme and an iPad Mini with a Touch Director app. Another app from Life Skills to control an ATEM switcher with Super Source animation, which we use to produce this live stream. So, then back to PTZ-Director that we have already installed on this MacBook. We want to close the opened PTZ-Director software and open the software again with the App button. We see that PTZ-Director immediately looks for video source in the network and has found 3 of them. You can look at them in the settings, where you can assign them to the displays in the multiview. Here in the Sources tab, we see the Canon camera, a MacBook output and an iPhone running an NDI camera app on the left side. Please take care that all of your NDI sources are located in the same network IP area and subnet. On the right side, we see the multiview assignments. You can assign here your NDI sources to the multiview for the top left, right, and down left and right tile to place the camera view in the multiview to control it. We will delete this now to start from the beginning. We want to select from the NDI sources the Canon camera at the top left and the iPhone camera at the top right tile of the multiview. At the bottom right of the settings window, you can set up whether you want to receive full NDI quality video with 130 megabits or a low quality preview signal, NDI-HX. Since we have a simple network here, we decide to use the lower quality option. So, we have set up our multiview. When clicking on a tile in the multiview, that signal is displayed in a large main view, and this PTZ camera is able to be controlled. By the way, if the NDI signal in the multiview has stopped due to network problems, you can stop and restart the streams by pausing and starting with the button under the multiview. Okay, if we now move our joystick, you can see how the camera video moves as well as the software joystick in the window. I'm switching to the iPhone camera now, and you see that I can't control this camera. Our software detects that this is not a PTZ camera and hides the controls. But even if you can control such cameras, you can use it to provide other sources for the camera operator. Okay, let's have a closer look at the preferences. At the bottom, you can open all manuals. One is for the installation of a Stream Deck. It will lead you to the installation of the Stream Deck software and our plugin for it, and how to assign functions to a button. Then we have the Quick Start Guide leading you to installation of PTZ-Director and how to set up the settings tabs and how to work with the main interface. Then a connection diagram where we can see how a typical connection looks like. For cameras, an Ethernet network, a joystick, switch and router, a MacBook or any other Mac with Intel or Apple Silicon CPU. And additional HDMI can also be connected. And finally, the data privacy information. Then there's the joystick tabs, where you can see the profiles for our 3 test joysticks. Here you see the EPAM RS desktop, and below the ST Microelectronics or Hikvision. These are the high quality joysticks I have already shown. And at the bottom, you see we have also connected an inexpensive game joystick, a Logitech device. All USB joysticks supporting the HID interface can be used. When you connect a new joystick, a profile is created with the control label axis and buttons, and you can assign functions to it. The third tab is the General tab. At the top, you can find the setting for the default browser. The PTZ cameras have web pages for special controls, and many of them don't work nicely with Safari. So here you can set Google Chrome as the default browser. Below that you find the Stream Deck support. If you want to connect the Stream Deck for easy access of functions, you can download the PTZ-Director plugin here. Please connect your Stream Deck and open the Stream Deck software. in which you can see the button area accordingly to the model of your Stream Deck. If you have already an older PTZ-Director plugin installed, you should delete this first by right-clicking on one of the functions and clicking Uninstall. Please confirm it, and all of your earlier assigned buttons will be empty. After them, go back to PTZ-Director to install the plugin. Click on Open LiveSkills Support. Our support page opens. Scroll down to PTZ-Director Stream Deck and click on the download link. This will download the plugin to your Mac in your download folder. Then double-click to the plugin, it will be opened and installed. As you see, the functions are restored. Okay, back to the main view. On the top left, there's the multiview. Below that is the area for the presets. And on the right, the control section for the optical functions of the camera, like zoom and pan tilt. That means horizontal and vertical moving the camera in variable speed. And the focus, which we are now specifically adjusting wrong. Then we click on autofocus to gain a sharp image again. As already said, on the left we have the area for saving and recalling the 100 positions an NDI camera can store. Depending on the camera model, only the position is stored, or also additional parameters like focus, zoom and iris, or even white balance. Some cameras allow to set this in the camera webpage. For every position, a small thumbnail image is created and saved. I want to try that now. I change the camera position and want to save this to preset position number 11. With a right click on that preset item, I can store this position in the camera. You can also delete a thumbnail if it's obsolete. I will do that for preset number 10. I delete it and set a new preset. Then we choose an older preset, number 3, number 2, number 4, number 6, and then we go back to our lately stored number 10. And we see the camera follows all our saved positions. On top of this area, you find a button Create All Preview Thumbnails, a feature not part of NDI protocol. Is the camera, for example, in a studio and has not moved positions, but there are changes in the lights or the scenery, and the positions had not been changed, you can here force all thumbnails to be created again. This does not affect the white and exposure presets in the camera. If you select it in the camera basic settings, that position preset doesn't save other values, only the positions. Then it just creates the thumbnails again. So, we want to create the thumbnails 1 to 7 again. We click on Create, and the camera is going to each of these 7 positions, and the software creates a new image. You can also set a time that the camera gets to reach to a new position. You should set this time, depending on how fast the camera is moving to a new position. We now see all 7 positions have been updated as we wanted. Now let's have a look at the picture controls. Here we can set the exposure and the white balance of the selected camera. Due to restrictions of the vendors, not all settings might be available. Depending on the model and the settings in the camera webpage, this information can or cannot be stored with the presets. At the top you can find the button to trigger auto exposure. Below gain, shutter and different white balance options, as well as the manual white balance setup on the right. I will changing the iris value, the gain, the shutter and then go back to the auto exposure to set in full automatic exposure again. The white balance one shot is, for example, not supported by this Canon camera, but these other ways can be used. So we can select by this Canon PTZ camera CRN type the outdoor, the indoor, or a full-time automatic white balance. Another feature only implemented in PTZ-Director is the possibility to store and recall up to 5 manual white balances. At the bottom, you can select slot 1 to 5, which is corresponding with the red cyan and blue-yellow sliders on the right side. After changing the values, you can click on Save to store the current white balance setup. I'm now creating a wrong purple white balance to demonstrate this. I'm saving this in slot 5 and then recall setup in slot 4. Then I switch back to slot 5 and the wrong purple white balance is back. An additional option to fine-tune the pan and tilt speed of the camera when using the joystick is to reduce the speed to 50 or 25% over joystick or stream deck buttons. This symbol at the lower left shows the speed between 100, 50 and 25% of the normal speed. That way you can make precise camera movements. Here, for example, I'm using the 25% state. More speed with 50%, and now we are back to 100%. Right to the speed control is the indicator for an external screen. Depending on your Mac, you might need a USB-C to HDMI connector or whatever the monitor requires. Using the external monitor, you can display the video of the selected camera in Full HD. The quality, of course, depends on the resolution set in the preferences, so Full NDI or NDI HX. To use the extended screen, we set its mode in the Mac system settings from mirror to extend. Then in PTZ-Director, the top right menu has a new option where to display the main video. This option is then also available in the top left pop-up menu, where you can choose to display the multiview on an external screen. On the top right, we now see the HDMI output of the MacBook instead of the PTZ-Director interface. And in the middle below, the output of the camera. We can see some differences in color and brightness, which you can change in the Mac system settings for the external monitor. So you can also use PTZ-Director as an inexpensive NDI to HDMI converter. But be aware that 4 full NDI streams with 130 megabit in a second plus an HDMI output can push a MacBook Pro to the limits. So if streams are stuttering, reduce the resolution to NDI HX with 10 megabit in a second. We now want to take a look at the webpage of the camera, which can be opened directly from PTZ-Director. But before, we make sure that Google Chrome is selected as default browser. PTZ-Director searches the IP address of the NDI sources and shows it in the menu. If you click on the webpage button, the webpage for the selected camera is opened in Chrome. We had entered the required password for this camera before, so it's autofilled. I'm logging in and now see all the settings not defined in the NDI protocol. As already mentioned, many cameras allow to automatically store these settings in the presets, so that you don't have to go to this website all the time. Now we go back to hardware. We have connected a high-quality 8-pin joystick comparable to the ones in the professional panels. It has pan and tiled functionality and another access by rotating the stick, which we assigned in the settings to zoom the camera in and out. Furthermore, it has 6 buttons. There we want to take a closer look at the function setup in the preferences. You can assign nearly every function to a button of a joystick or an axis. Since joysticks always have too few buttons, you can use a long press of a button as a separate function. This means long press of a button over 1.5 seconds activates a second function. I now have assigned the presets 1 to 3 to the buttons 1 to 3 and switch between them. Okay, here we switch the button 1 for position 1, button 2 and button 3, and back to button 1. Then I'm changing the exposure setting and press button 4, which is here assigned to the auto exposure function. For button 5 and 6, we selected here the joystick speed, toggling to 50 and 25%, as you can see here. Then we get to the Stream Deck. We have connected a large Stream Deck with a lot of functions. Okay, in the moment this is not really sharp. I will try a little bit. Okay, so on the top row we assigned by our Stream Deck the 4 tiles of the multiview. So you can with it select the camera angle to control. Below we have positioned the presets 1 to 7. In the upper middle row, the button to store a preset. In the lower middle row, the buttons to recall the presets. In PTZ-Director, we store these thumbnails for the presets. And we make these previews available in the Stream Deck. So you can choose to display the corresponding thumbnail on the preset button. And the thumbnails are automatically updated and synchronized. Previews on the buttons are optional. The button can also show the preset number, if selected in the Stream Deck software in the button submenu. I want to show this. I move the camera, store it to preset number 2, and as you can see, the thumbnails for preset 2 have been updated for set position button and the recall position button. The thumbnail in PTZ-Director main view is synchronized at the same time. We will check this on the MacBook. Okay, it is updated. You can also manually update all thumbnails, maybe in case you disconnected the Stream Deck from the MacBook and connected it again. Of course, you can assign every available function to a Stream Deck side and button, which you like. Here on the top, the multiview. Right of it, the joystick speeds. At the bottom, the white balance options, like automatic white balance one shot, in case the camera offers this function. Indoor and outdoor white balance. As you can see it here, changes immediately when I press the Stream Deck buttons. Nearly all functions of PTZ-Director can be used from the Stream Deck, except the iris, gain and shutter functionality. On page 2 of the Stream Deck, we assigned buttons to move the camera with different speeds in pan and tiled, as well as the zoom. On another page, we have assigned the 5 manual white balance slots as save and recall buttons. The Stream Deck is today standard in every broadcast production, and also here offers great possibilities to enhance the camera control. When installing a new version of PTZ-Director, don't forget to update the plugin, As well so the two match perfectly. So, that should be it for PTZ-Director. Thank you for your interest. Don't forget to like us if you liked the video, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Bye bye.